Yeah, it's really hot. I guess across the country this year we have kind of the worst kind of summer the country has faced, I guess. Okay, so while people are still logging in, today we'll be talking about speaking and how many of us like speaking. How many of us like speaking? Okay, Sahil says me. Only one person. Okay, Amandeep likes, but he's not able to. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that was actually the answer I was looking for. So all of us love speaking, if I'm correct. All of us love talking, right? We love talking, we love speaking. But when it comes to talking in English, that is where the problem starts, right? Or even if it could be like we're good at English, we do talk in English, but when it comes to IELTS, it might get confusing, right? What do I say? How do I say? Do you think so? How many of us feel that way? But speaking is okay. You ask me to speak just randomly, I will. Exactly. But if you ask me to talk about IELTS, the test, it becomes difficult. Do we feel that way? How many of us feel that, speaking is the toughest section in IELTS? Otherwise, I've got I would get very good scores if it was only listening and reading and writing. Life would be so easy. I would have easily got, if not 9, at least 8 marks. Why did they start the speaking thing? Do we feel that way? Okay. So I thought let's do this session wherein we'll see some tips, some tricks, some strategies that, yes, Sahil says we need confidence. Yes, and how do we build that confidence? Otherwise, we are confident, right? When it comes to listening, I'll be confident. Okay, the audio will play, I'll get the answers. Writing, yes, I can write an essay. I feel confident. But speaking, yes, Kushal says cue card. Yes, cue card can be tricky. Okay, so how do we build that? Do we have any tips, tricks? That is what we are going to look today. And before I start, let me introduce myself. So my name is Neha, as you can see on the slide, and I have been an IELTS trainer for over 5 years now, helping students with various kind of English exams. Okay, so not just IELTS, PTE, even the BEC Vantage program. And I have undergone training and my certification from Cambridge. So I can assure you that you are in safe hands. Okay, so let's get started. I'm sure we all know this, right? This is a format of the test. So we have 3 parts in the test, three categories, basically. It's not that they would be timed differently. You just go into the exam center and the interviewer will conduct the test in 3 parts. He'll ask you questions of different kinds and they will be marked. Like some of you said, the first one is introduction, like any other normal conversation when someone has. The first part is you introduce yourself. That would go around 4 to 5 minutes, followed by cue card. Okay, someone mentioned, Rohan mentioned that cue card can become difficult. So that is all known as the long run or the monologue. And that is where you need to speak at a stretch. That would go for around 3 to 4 minutes. And the last section would be a 2-way discussion, basically follow-ups. Yes, Jumana. Okay, so follow-up questions about what you discussed in part 2, they would be loosely related to your cue card. And that is the entire structure of the test. If you can calculate the minutes, what is the minimum or maximum stretch of the test? Can you see? Maximum would be 5 plus 4 plus 5. Maximum 14 minutes and we are done. So it's a very short test, unlike the bigger ones wherein you're supposed to write for an hour or read for an hour. It's a very short test and it can be quickly aced. Okay, so what are the grading parameters? So when you go to this exam, what is the examiner trying to judge it? What will he or pronunciation? Okay, yes, Mansi. What more? What more would the examiner judge? Grammar, yes, an integral part. Sneh says speed. Okay, yes, speed. Flow, yes, a better word would be flow. Confidence, okay. Body language. Level of English. Great, I have so many answers coming in. Fluency, quite a few here said fluency, yes. Vocab, okay. The tone, that's interesting. Okay. Amandeep had a very broad band saying communication skills. So everything comes under that. Intonation, awesome, Stuti. Okay. So great. Yeah, idioms. Idioms are they're part of something. Okay, we'll look at what exactly. So great, we know the answers to that. So fluency and coherence. What would that mean? Fluency is simple. If you can speak at a length without fumbling, without stammering, without taking very long pauses, basically without hesitating. That is what fluency is. Simple to understand. What is coherence? What do I understand by the word coherence? So there are two things here. Okay, so I will say step by step. Okay, so let me give you an example. Say the examiner asks me about my last birthday. Okay, how was my last birthday? How was the celebration? And I say, okay, I had a fantastic birthday. Actually, it was my 18th birthday. And since I turned 18, my parents and my friends gave me a surprise birthday party. It was at one of my favorite restaurants, and we had a rooftop party. We ate and danced almost till midnight. And earlier, actually, I woke up early. I went to the temple, and then I took blessings from my grandparents. So all in all, my 18th birthday was awesome. What do you think? How was the answer? Was it fluent? Okay. Okay, so fluency is okay, no? But okay, Amandi says not well organized. So what went wrong? What was missing? What was wrong here? I described my birthday party, right? The structure, if you realize what I did, I spoke about the evening, the party first, and then I spoke about, got it, yeah, Shivani, I was waiting for the word, the sequence. So coherence is, it is flow, but it has to be a logical flow. Whatever you say, it should make some sense. It's not just about throwing in random ideas. Your sequence, your flow is also monitored. Yeah, Chandrama says morning comes before night. Correct. Okay, so I hope you understood what coherence means. Okay, Sangeeta has an interesting question. I'll come to that. Hold on to that. You're asking if accent matters. No, it doesn't. Okay, because I'll just show you the parameters. We'll see if there's something called accent here. Okay, then next is lexical resource. Okay, what is lexical resource? It's a very big, heavy word. We needn't use it. Simply, we know it as vocabulary. Okay, the kind of words you use, we can have interesting words. What are interesting words? Again, we'll have a look in a short time. What more do they look at? They look at grammatical range and accuracy. Simple, everyone knows grammar. It can be a pain sometime, but yeah, grammar matters. Fortunately or unfortunately, this is an area which can be scored easily. We just need to practice a bit. And the final one is pronunciation. So what do I mean by pronunciation? The way words are spoken, as simple as that. And when I asked for, parameters in the chat box, I saw so many things. Someone mentioned tone, someone said intonation. Okay, so all these are a part of the pronunciation. But do I need to have an accent? Well, what is an accent? Accent is nothing special, right? Everyone has an accent. So here in India, we have an Indian accent. A person from the UK will have a British accent, most probably. Okay. An American would have an American accent. So everyone has an accent. Even in India, we have so many variations in the accent, right? Someone from up north speaking in English would be very different from someone down south. Both are speaking English, but again, there is an accent. So accent is nothing special or peculiar. Everyone has an accent, and the examiners do not mind the accent as long as your pronunciation is clear, you're enunciating the words clearly, and you have a correct tone, a correct intonation. That is what matters. Okay, so do not bother about accent. It is completely okay, but do not even try to fake an accent. Okay, just don't get into this idea that if I sound like a native speaker and instead of saying I like to dance, if I say I like dancing, um, it's kind of not very good, because it might be that in the first sentence you did say dance, but by the third or fourth sentence you forgot the accent because you started getting nervous, and by the time you were on the fifth sentence you again spoke the word dance. So that is where the variation in your accent comes in, and the examiner would know that you're faking it. So please do not fake any accent. Okay, now these are the parameters. The detailed description is here, which is the band descriptor. This is the public version, so it is available for everyone. You can just Google it, download it. I wouldn't spend much time here, but yes, you need to see what exactly. Oh, you don't have to write it down with Anshi. Just Google it, download it, keep it with you. And when you're practicing, right, this will be really helpful for you to understand how to improve your scores. Okay, what exactly goes into the 4 criteria? This will come in handy. Okay, so what exactly would happen in part 1? Now today we are focusing on part 1. Why are we doing that? So I told there are 4 parameters, right? And there are 3 parts of the test: accepted. But what happens is, have you heard the term first impression is the last impression? Have you heard that? Have you heard? Or do you believe in that? First impression is the last impression. Yeah. So what happens is, during the first few questions, the examiner does make up his mind as to what level you are at. Okay. So when you start talking, and anyway, the first section is the easiest one. So it is kind of an icebreaker, or you can call it a warm-up session. These are easy questions. The examiner also knows he's talking about you, things you like doing. It's easy. So the examiner expects you to be fluent, relaxed. And when you are doing that, the examiner makes a mental note at what level you are. Okay. Then when you move to part 2 or 3, there might be variations in the band, but not much. So in the first part itself, the examiner will make a mental note. Okay, he's good, he's speaking fluently, he's using a variety of sentences. So, maybe between 6 and 7. So worst come worst, even if you do badly, very badly, still maybe you land around 6 or 5.5. Or all of a sudden you do very well in your Q card or part 3, which is a rare possibility, but say it happens, then too, he made a mental note of 6 to 7, right? So maybe you land at 7, 7.5. So that is why the limit is set in the very first part, and that is where you should be very alert, try to do it well, because again, first impression does matter. Okay, so what will happen is, when you go in, it's basically a face-to-face one. In the COVID times, there were a few video sessions, but mostly it is face-to-face. Even if you're appearing for a computer-based test, this will be a face-to-face interview with the examiner. And when you go into the room, they will introduce themselves. They will confirm who you are. So basically, identity is your passport. And after that, you realize there's a recorder placed on the table. So now, because of the COVID norms, if you understand, you're supposed to wear your mask throughout. Okay, so the mask would be on, and you need to keep talking. Okay. Okay, Vedanshi. Where is this? The interview. Okay, you have to book your date basically when you book your IELTS date. And there's a slot which you need to confirm. It is in the city, wherever you book. Okay, and you'll get a place as to where your exam would be conducted. So when you go in there, we'll have your mask on and you need to be loud and clear enough so that the examiner can hear, so that he can mark you on your pronunciation definitely. And also make sure that you're clear enough that the recorder is able to detect your voice. Now, this is very important because sometimes students do feel that, they haven't been judged very nicely. They were expecting at least a 7 band. You feel, no, I don't know why he gave me 6. If you really think you need to put it up for a recheck, that is where this recording comes handy. So be mindful to be loud and clear so that not only the examiner, but also the recorder can catch your voice. Okay. Next, the examiner will ask you some general questions. Okay. Very general, very familiar topics. Okay, what are they? We'll see very shortly. Now, the first question, what do you think it would be? So it would be about you, where do you live, those kind of things. Okay. And then this keeps going on. There could be a variety of 2 or 3 different topics. Again, everything will be related to you. If you look at the part 1 questions, each question has a you or your word in there. Okay, each question would have the word either you or your. Okay, so everything about you. That is what happens in part 1. So do we think it's very difficult? Do we need to have a syllabus for this? Do we need to find answers somewhere? Okay, so JJ has a question. Okay, so JJ, it depends. Like, if you're not able to hear the examiner properly, if the examiner is very feeble and you have some problem with your ear. Now, if that's a medical problem that you're having, you can definitely present your medical certificate. That's before the exam when you're booking the date. So if you're booking it through us here at LeapScholar, we'll be guiding you how to do it. So if you have that problem, that would be taken into consideration. But generally speaking, if the examiner asks something and you are not able to hear, you can always request the examiner to repeat the question. Okay, you can politely say that, sorry, could you repeat the question, please? Or beg your pardon, could you please repeat the question? So it's completely okay. Okay, so yeah, back to my question. Do you think we need to memorize something? Do we need to find out something? Yes, we can say pardon. Yes, sir. Okay, so these are very generic questions. They are from your life. So the first tip, like, everyone is excited about tips, like give me some tips what to do. So how can I practice at home? I'll come back to that. That's a very interesting question. I'll come back to it. Okay, so the first tip I would give you is do not memorize your answers. Okay, there is nothing to memorize also. If I ask, what is your name? What do you have to memorize in that? Or I ask, where is your hometown? What do you like your hometown? What are your hobbies? So why would you memorize that? But some students have this tendency that, let me prepare a very nice answer so that I'm taking care of the lexical resource. I'm using multiple, sentences, variety of sentences. So they have this tendency, but please do not memorize. Okay, the examiner will come to know, and I just showed you a band descriptor. If you can go back, like, if you refer to the band descriptor, as I said, you can download it from Google. You would see that memorizing would cost you bands and you would fall very low, like even as low as 2 or 3 bands. And we don't want that. Okay, so that's my first tip to you. Next, don't use big and unfamiliar words. Okay, that's a contradiction. Like just now I said, there is an important parameter called lexical resource, right? And now I'm saying do not use big and unfamiliar words. But the lexical resource parameter, it said that, what did it say? That you need to use uncommon words. Now, how do we do that? How do I score in lexical resource and I don't use very, fancy or unfamiliar words? What do I mean by that? Why am I contradicting myself? Yes, nay. So dictionary words that we don't usually use. Okay, so maybe you're talking about food or cooking. What would you call something which is not very tasty? What word do we use for that? So, usually people will say it was not tasty. It was very tasteless. Okay. So I have some answers coming in. What more? Awesome, Ajay. You can say bland, right? Now, what is bland? Which is not very tasty. Okay. It doesn't have many spices or flavor. Now, I'll just give you a tip or trick. Can you go to, like if you're using a phone, just go to Cambridge Dictionary. Just go to Cambridge Dictionary, and if you can type in the word bland, if you do, you would see something, right? You have the answer, the meaning, and below that, you would find something as C1 or C2 written there. Okay. Okay. This is the framework, and there are different levels. It says C1, C2. These are the highest levels of words. Okay. Below that, when you're looking around for a 7 band, so it is a B1 or B2 level. So these are the different levels. That is the common European framework for reference. And you'd see that each word. So if I'm looking at some C1, C2 words, do I know the word? When you start something, what would you say? When you start a conversation. So you're talking about your cue card, and you said that there was a stranger sitting next to me and he started this conversation. What would you say? Instead of start. Start is a word everyone uses, right? Commence, okay. Okay, begin or began the conversation. What more? Initiated, awesome, Apurva. Now, if you can go to Cambridge Dictionary and put in the word initiate there, you will realize it's a C2 level band. I'm looking at a 9 band word. Okay. So this is what I meant by unfamiliar words. You don't have to, get some weird words from somewhere, but a nice vocabulary, use the common frame reference, use Cambridge Dictionary, please, and we'll be all sorted. Okay. What more? Okay. Use a range of grammatical structures. Yes. Integrate. Asif, integrate is, again, it's a nice word, but integration is used mostly for, if you're integrating a shop or a restaurant, something which is like, non-living. But if you're talking about a conversation, basically the stranger initiated the conversation. Okay, that is also a nice word though, but we need to use it correctly. Okay, as I said, don't worry about your accent. Your normal neutral Indian accent is good. Just be mindful of the pronunciation. By pronunciation, I mean, instead of, if you want to say she, you cannot say si. Okay, or those basic slips that happen. If you want to say then I went to, then you cannot say than I went to. So that is where the pronunciation is marked negatively, but otherwise your accent is just fine. Okay, then, yeah, very important. Pause to think. I have, Valan Himanshi, just, go to Google, type in Cambridge Dictionary, the first search that comes up. Okay, that is the one I'm talking about. Okay, so coming back to pause to think. I've seen more often than not what happens is students, they just jump into the answer. Like no sooner has the examiner finished the question, maybe even there's a tag, still remaining. The examiner is yet to finish the question, but the student, maybe he's very nervous or maybe you're very well prepared. You just jump into answering it. And what happens is we might be answering something else. There was a question tag which was left. And more importantly, we did not spare the time to think, which is very, very important. Okay, so it's okay to pause. Fumbling is not okay. Taking pauses when you're speaking and stopping there and thinking, that is bad. That's not a pause. That's called fumbling. But pausing when the question starts, how do you do that? So once you hear a question, you can say, well, that's an interesting question, or wow, I never thought about it. Okay, those kind of things. So take a pause, do not fumble. Okay, as I said, avoid fillers like I am, so we have, all of us have some filler or the other that we use, but avoid them in the IELTS exam. Very, very important point, extend your answer, and that is what we are going to see today. We'll see how do we extend our answers, because we all know one word answers won't do. Never give a one word or one line answer. You'll have to extend your answers, and we'll learn tricks today how to do that. Okay, again, keep calm, smile. It's just a test. Okay, no one is going to kill you. It's normal questions, and the examiner is there to help you. Okay, the examiner is not there sitting to judge you or to make your life worse. His job is to assist you clear this exam, and he or she would help you. Okay, so stay calm, do not panic, and a smile always helps, even though if you're wearing a mask. Okay, don't speak in a monotone. We know what a monotone is. A monotone is a flat voice like a robot. No one likes it. So avoid a monotone, bring in your intonations, tone, as most of you mentioned, the rise and fall. And most importantly, practice the common IELTS topics. Okay, practice, practice, practice is the key. So I was speaking about topics. So these are some topics which are most commonly asked in the part 1. You can have a quick look at it and tell me you feel that, oh my God, I don't know this. I'll have to Google, I'll have to prepare about this. This is not a part of my life. Do you think any topic out here is like, no, I can't relate to this. Oh my God, then I need, GK, I need high IQ for this type of a question. Do we? No, right? So we know the content, we know we'll be asked about this kind of topic. We know what we have to do. We got the tips also, right? So some sample questions for you here. May take a moment to go through these. Okay. Shijina is saying it's not a piece of cake to give instant answers. And that's such a lovely answer, Shijina. You've used an idiom there. And I know it's not a piece of cake, only we need to work on the spelling, okay? The spelling for piece is the wrong piece. Okay, but that's a wonderful answer. You used idioms. And yeah, it's not a piece of cake. It's not easy. But tell me, how difficult is it to know about you? But if you keep practicing, what do you think? Then is it difficult? It wouldn't happen promptly, but now that you know the topics that would come, now I've told you the tricks. All you need to do is practice. So someone asked me a bit, 5 minutes ago, I guess, how do I practice? Important question, right? I know what they'll ask me. Yes, Asif, that is what I wanted to share with you. So these are the strategies that we will be looking at. Okay, accommodation, Mansi. So accommodation, should we see? Yes, of course. What kind of accommodation is it? Do you live in a flat? Or do you live in a bungalow? You can just describe it a bit. Yes, that is what they mean by accommodation. Yes, Asif, there are many upcoming batches. I'll share the information very shortly. So now that I know the questions, and this is what we are supposed to do. We are supposed to paraphrase. We are supposed to use connectors. We are supposed to use complex sentences and make use of idioms or idiomatic expressions. Okay, we know we are supposed to do all this. But most important, as I said, is practice. So here at Leap, we have something awesome called a speaking room. Now, what are these? They are just open chat rooms. Okay, you can just register yourself with LeapScholar, which is free, and you can access these chat rooms. You can join any room at any time. There would be like n number of rooms going on. And no, this is Android based. Sarathi? Okay, this is Android based, so you'll have to take help from some of your friend or someone at home who has, an Android phone. Download the app and you can start speaking. It's a 24/7 app. So anytime you log in, you'll find someone or the other and you will be able to chat. Okay. So this is one thing that I would say I would highly recommend. Please join it and keep practicing. You just need to click on the speak button. There would be speaking rooms and there'll be several rooms. So you're done with one room, you can move to the next room. Each room would have different kind of questions being handled, right? It could be part 1, it could be part 2. So yeah, just putting in the details here. Okay. And Asif asked about the batch. Yes, there are upcoming batches and those would be the premium batch. So this is just a live session and we'd hardly be together for 1 hour. I know we cannot practice much. Not everyone will get a chance to talk because again, we have a very huge crowd. We are looking at more than 120 people. Okay, so it is basically difficult to have one-to-one interaction. But if you join a premium class, what would happen is you'll get 9 hours of free lecture. So every day you would have 1.5 hours of live lecture with an educator. The batch size would be very compact, not exceeding 50 students. So everyone will get personal attention. Apart from that, you'll get 8 speaking club slots. What do I mean by that? So one was the speaking room that we saw. Anyone can log in and practice anytime. But speaking slots, they are with our special educators who would help you there with your part 2. So you can book your slot and not 1, not 2, you'll get 8 slots. Apart from that, you'll get writing evaluations, you'll get material, not only for speaking, but reading, writing, and you can practice with everywhere. Okay, if you're a beginner, you can start with module wise, or even there is something called the smaller batch, the other batch we have, which is a 10-day program, which is like a crash course. You could join that too. But if you want to join the premium batch, which is only 548 rupees. But if you can see, there's a promotion code here, right at the bottom of the slide. And if you use that, you'll get instant discount. That is NS Live. If you use this, this would come down to 438 rupees, less than a pizza, right? If you're looking for a large pizza. So as I mentioned, this is what you will get. You'll get extensive coaching. You'll get extra speaking evaluations apart from the speaking room where you can practice anytime, 24/7. So just go to the site, go to your booking site, and this is one of the batches which is coming up. So that is my batch, which starts on Tuesday. It's a morning batch, but say you're working, you do not have time. So there are number of batches going on simultaneously. You can pick from morning, evening, night, whatever suits you. Okay. So yeah, these are the upcoming batches, and it's not just for my batch. So you can use the code for any of the batch. So here you can see there is one for the night as well. So you can take up the night batch, use the same code. You can see 548 here. That would become 438. Okay. So the code is applicable to any of the courses. Okay. And yeah, all the educators are trained, experienced. They have helped thousands and thousands of students. So be assured, whatever batch you're joining, you are in safe hands. Okay. So yeah, moving back to what we were doing. So how do we sound more natural? Like it's difficult to, think on the spot. And usually what happens is we're not able to paraphrase. For example, if the examiner is asking you something about, the things you like. Do you like watching movies? A very simple question. Do you like watching movies? And what happens is we tend to repeat what the examiner said. So what would happen is, if you're not well prepared, you'd be like, oh yes, I love watching movies. So all I did was I changed the like to love, and the rest remains the same. What about some other phrase? What would you say? Can I have some answers in the chat box? If I say, do you like watching movies? What would you say? See, Himanshi, there are many rooms. It's not like, you have to join one room. So if you feel that particular room is not relevant to what you want to practice, you can easily switch rooms and join a room which is talking about the topics you want to. If you want to, practice cue cards or part 1. So you can switch rooms. It's completely okay. Yes, Gina. Yes, it is. It is. It is really very helpful. So that's the feedback we've got from all our students. And trust me, it's so difficult when you're preparing for IELTS and you just desperately want that, someone helps you. Okay. You're for general IELTS. Okay. So I'm sure Satya, I'm so sorry I didn't get your name. Bhaskar, yeah. So what you can do is, did you appear for the mock tests? Do appear for the mock test. That is what will let you know the kind of bands you're getting, right? So if you think you're doing good, you're getting nice bands, please submit your writing evaluations also. And I hope you've taken the speaking slots. Even if you're for a free batch, you would have got your speaking slots. So if you've done all that, you'd know where you stand, okay? Okay, so Guneet says, definitely I watch movies in my leisure time. I enjoy watching movies. Okay, I prefer to watch movies. Indeed, okay, it gives me immense pleasure. Okay, okay, okay. Rajalakshmi, yes, I'm much into it. Okay, yes. Yes, of course, I love watching movies. Okay, great. So yeah, we have so many answers here. A few more tips, suggestions from my side. I can say, yes, I can't get enough of them, right? I don't seem to get enough of them. I'm a movie buff, especially during the pandemic. It was like I was watching one movie every day, right? Or you can say, what I like the most about it is that, and then explain your answer. Okay, so maybe the examiner asks, do you like cycling? Okay, what could you say? Well, yes, I love cycling. In fact, what I like the most about it is that it gives me an opportunity to work out while I am traveling to my college. So it's basically like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Okay. Anil Kumar says movies are my cup of tea. Not exactly. It's a good idea to use idioms, but again, you need to be very mindful of using it at the correct place. So cup of tea is something, which is very easy for you. There's nothing easy or hard about, watching a movie. So I wouldn't use this one here. Okay. So yeah, if you want to join, the link is there in the chat box. Okay, it assists me in maintaining my health. Okay. Healthcare is a different thing though. Okay. Or I can say, I love that it allows me to keep fit at the same time when I am traveling or taking care of my daily chores. Okay. Now, what about things that you're not good at, or you're bad at, or maybe you're good at? How would we say that? Say you are good at something. Are you good at cooking? Okay, very, very common question. Are you good at cooking? Okay, I'm bad at singing. Okay. Say the examiner asks you, are you good at cooking? It's a very common asked question. What would you say? I'm bizarre. Okay. Certainly, I love cooking. Okay. It's terribly boring. Okay, yes. Familiar would be like, when you know some things. Familiar, it's not a bad word though. Familiar is a nice word, but it wouldn't go in this context. Okay, initially cooking was a kind of a chore than pleasure. However, now I've developed interest. That's a really, really nice answer, Stuti. Seema, I'm in love with cooking. I'm terrible. Okay, great. I make a huge mess. Okay. Great, Chandrama. Nice. So such nice answers coming in. Great. We're all set for the IELTS then. I'd highly recommend, please go and practice in the speaking room. We cannot talk here, but yeah, it's different to talk. Tedious. That's a nice word. I find it tedious. So if you like something and you're good at it, what can you say? Oh yeah, I have a knack for it. Okay. Another nice word. It's a very, very native speaker word. It'll sound you more natural. And then if you're bad, okay, Stuti, all the best. You have it this Sunday. All the very best. And yeah, you were sending in some really nice answers. So I'm very sure you'll be doing very, very well. All the best. Okay. If you're bad at something, what would you say? The same thing. Oh, I think I'm hopeless at cooking. Okay. So again, these are some generic terms. I'm not saying memorize it. I'm not saying you have to use it, but just to give an idea as to what you could say rather than repeating the same words. Okay. Now, when you're talking about how often do you do something? So another question, how often do you eat out? If I ask you, how often do you eat out? What would you say? How often do you eat out? Now, what is the meaning of eat out here? When I say eat out, basically I'm looking at how often do you go to a restaurant? Now, how often is again a very, very typical question. Almost every test, you'll have come across at least one of this often thing. And often is usually answered with an adverb. So, you would say always, never, occasionally, rarely, sometimes, right? Those are the typical adverbs we use. Right, so I have answers coming in. Yeah, I'm health conscious. Usually, homemade food. Yes. Seldom. Yes, seldom is a nice one. You don't need to put an ly after that. So seldom is okay. Charmy, okay? But you don't need an ly after that. So seldom. That's the spelling. Okay, seldom is not so often. So again, instead of saying sometimes, we could use yes, from time to time. Okay. So, as you said, I'm health conscious, but I do like eating at a restaurant from time to time. Or every once in a while, I go to my favorite restaurant with my family. Okay. Yes, also frequently is allotment time. If you do something usually. So again, usually is a not common term, but we can say more often than not. Instead of saying rarely, I don't go often. We can use an idiom, once in a blue moon. Okay. Now, this is another question that you would come across. When asked for preferences, choose between two options. You can say without a doubt. Do you like spending time with your family or with your friends? You can say without a doubt, I would prefer spending time with my family. Or to be honest, I feel more comfortable when I am around my friends. Okay, to be totally upfront. So these are some nice phrases which will help you sound more natural. Coming to the other part we're talking about, how do I expand my answer? So if you talk about just one idea or one sentence, that would be a very limited answer. We'll not get the scope of expanding, right? So these are some things you can do. The first thing is add your opinion. You can always give your opinion about what you think, right? It's not a speech. No one is going to judge you. So give your opinion. Feel free to do it. This is how you can give your opinion, in my opinion, in my view, to my mind. Okay, as far as I'm concerned. Next, you can add ideas. So that is where, you have your normal linkers like moreover, additionally. You can use some nice phrases like on top of that. What's more? I'd also like to add that. Okay. So you can take screenshots. Okay. Or you can give opposite views, completely opposite. So one idea and the second idea. The most common conjunction we use is but, however. But you can say, at the same time, I feel. So you gave your first sentence, one idea, and then at the same time, I feel. Do you think there should be an entry charge to gardens? Well, I believe that gardens are for public use, so they should be free. But at the same time, I feel that having a nominal charge would make it easier to maintain and avoid nuisance. Okay? Now, what more can we do? So I was talking about complex sentences, right? Because GRA, we need to make complex sentences. And the minute I talk about complex sentences, most students get scared. Writing is still okay. Like, we have the time to write, erase, go back. But one of the easiest tricks to do a complex sentence is to use present perfect tense. Now, if you realize most of the questions in part 1 will be about you, and the answer would require definitely a simple present tense answer, right? Because it's about you, your hobby. So most of the time it would be a simple present. What can I do? Like a very common question, where do you live? If I ask you, where do you live? What is the simplest answer? Quickly in the chat box. The answer will be in simple present tense, right? Where do you live? How can I change it? Okay, I belong to Mumbai. I reside in Kolkata. Okay, I reside in wherever, right? Vadodara, right. So, but if you see the tense, what tense is it? Everyone is writing about the present tense because, yeah, that is the tense now we used to answer. I hail from Kerala, yeah. But the tense, I'm talking about the tense. Look at this one. So, yes, I live in Ahmedabad. Simple present. Now let me give you a variation. So I live in Ahmedabad. I have been living in Ahmedabad for past 8 years now. But I was born in Baroda. Did you get a simple present tense there? But what about someone who was born in Ahmedabad? You've never, that's your hometown. What can I do? So I say, currently I'm living here, but maybe you never changed your town. You've been in your town forever. Like you were born and raised there. What would you say? We can say, I have been living in Ahmedabad ever since I was born. And I feel proud to call it my hometown. Can you see the variation? So the answer remains the same, but we are using the simple present tense, one of the easiest present perfect tense. Okay, one of the easiest one to use. And yeah, I spoke about idioms and phrases. So these are just some examples. As I said, you can take a screenshot and just some examples with what they mean. Try using them, and there are several more. But I just wanted to give you a bit of something to look to. Okay, not just idioms, even phrasal verbs. They are great band boosters, phrasal verbs. And we know some of them, right? Eat out, as I asked. Do you like eating out? So that's a phrasal verb. Hang out. What do you do on weekends? I hang out with my friends, right? So yeah, as I said, practice is the key. Please sign up for the speaking room at least. And there are several batches. This was just a 1 hour session. So if you need to know in depth about all the parts, like, we didn't cover part 2 or part 3. How do we use phrasal verbs? So I just gave you an example, Himanshi. There was something called hangout. So if the examiner asks, what do you like to do on weekends? Well, during weekends, I love to hang out with my friends. Instead of saying, I spend time with my friends, you can say, I hang out with my friends. That's a phrasal verb. Very simple, right? Who is your role model? So there's something called look up. I adore my father and I really look up to him. He's my role model. Okay, that is how you use phrasal verb. So again, as I said, join the batches, join special batches, use the code. That will be only 438 rupees. Okay, and that is where you'll get personal coaching, you'll get in-depth material. Okay, that will be personal, one-to-one. So thank you so much for your time. The code is there in the chat box. Okay, and all the best to everyone who's appearing for the test anytime soon. Do well, keep practicing. The special batch is for 1 week. Okay, so it would be 1 week of like special, that would be listening, reading. Premium, yes, premium are 1 week each. Okay, plus is a free one. Plus is a free session, that is a crash course kind of thing. It's 2 weeks wherein all the 4 modules are covered. But if you want in-depth, you'll have to join the premium batch. Okay, all the best, Ravi Kumar. That's great. So the code is still in the chat box. Quickly click onto it and join because the seats are fast filling actually. How do you end your answer politely? Okay. You don't have to end your answer anyway. It's like, just say a thank you. That is the most polite way. Okay then, thank you so much. Do well, all the best.